Hey, lions and lionesses. Hey, I just did this recorder and I'm about to redo it because I went way too long and got way into the research, and I was like, no one's going to listen to this. It's like 45 minutes long. So I'm going to keep this brief, but I want to continue to teach you the principles of what really, really works. What are the laws of physical change? What are the laws of physical improvement? And in the last recording, we talked about the first law of thermodynamics. So if you eat more food than your body needs, than you burn off, it has to go somewhere. And it will go into storage. Unless you lift weights and get enough protein, then some of that will be turned into muscle. And so that would be a better way to mitigate damage when you do go off track, because everybody goes off track, right? But go back, listen to that, because if you don't understand that principle, that's the foundation of many, many things. But I'm going to quote some research studies today and talk about your macronutrients. So where do your calories come from? Calories, just to review, are it's the amount of heat required to raise 1 kilogram of water 1 degree Celsius. But all you got to know is it's the amount of heat. And your body is always putting off heat. And so what that means, it's like gallons or liters of petrol or gasoline, depending on where you're from. And so it's the amount of fuel we get from eating foods. Now, where do those calories come from? They come from one of four things. It's going to be carbohydrates, which could be sugars or starches, and those are going to have 4 calories per gram. Now, protein is going to have 4 calories per gram too. Now, alcohol has 7 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. Is that good? Does that make some good, some bad? No, doesn't matter. It just is what it is. And you need to know these numbers in order to keep track of where you're at. And if you don't know your numbers, it's really difficult to know if you're on track or not, because you got to be on track for a period of time before the results actually show up. So one of the main reasons why people fail is they don't have a level of self-awareness and they don't know their numbers. It's like if you own a business, and I know a lot of you guys do, if you don't know the numbers in your business, you don't really know what's happening. You can't anticipate what's going to happen. And so it's the same way. Your body is your business, and it's probably the most important business you could ever have, because once that breaks down, it's all over, my friend. And so we need to take care of this thing. And I know it's more effort. I know it's more work. No one's going to tell you this stuff because it's hard to sell this. You actually have to measure food. You got to measure yourself, and you got to be consistent. You got to wake up and challenge your body. This isn't for everybody. It's for 1 in 100 people, maybe, if that many. And so you're a rare one indeed. But I also understand if you're just like, hey, I don't want to do it. I'm just going to exercise. That's great. That will make you live longer and you'll feel good. But if you want to get your body, if you really want to lose body fat or add muscle or just optimize it, you got to look at these numbers. You got to know your calories. You got to know your macronutrients, which are protein, carbs, and fats. Alcohol is a non-nutrient, so there's no benefit to it. It can only create problems, really. And so what we want to do today is talk about protein. Now, when I look at someone's genetic test, there are some things that just apply to all humans. And that's like the first law of thermodynamics that we talked about. If you want to burn fat, you have to burn more calories and create an energy deficit where your body needs to get fuel from somewhere other than the food you get. And so it would dip into fat stores and take it out and break it down. And that's called burning fat oxidation. And so of the macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, the one in research that is shown to have the greatest impact by far is protein. And there's many reasons for this, but let's talk about some of the studies. Now we're going to talk about body optimization, body composition studies. So losing fat, building muscle, or whatever, muscle to fat ratio. And so there is a study done that's called a Minnesota starvation study. And in this study, they did a severe calorie restriction with a lot of aerobic exercise. This was in the military. And so there was a lot of marching and hiking. So a lot of cardio, no resistance training. So they didn't do any weight training or anything. And they had 1,000 calorie deficit per day, which is a severe deficit. It's really low, especially since they're exercising a lot. So it's a extreme calorie deprivation experiment, and what they found was of the weight they lost, which is 19 pounds, most of it came from lean body mass, about 60% of it. And so that lowered their metabolism. And then they were allowed at the end of the study to eat whatever they wanted for, I think it was 5 weeks. And in that time, they gained all the weight back, but they didn't gain the muscle back as much. So they gained the weight back, but it wasn't replaced with the muscle they lost. They gained mostly fat back. And this is repeated in scientific literature again and again and again. And so there was another study done where they had they had 2 groups. One group was a severe calorie restriction. Another one was a slight calorie deprivation. So like 300 to 500 calorie below maintenance. And then they both went till they lost the same amount of weight. And the group that had that was slower maintained their results after the program, where the other group gained all the weight back. And so what that means is going to give us some rules. But what was the difference in the groups? Well, it's protein. Protein is different than carbs and fats because of something called the thermic effect of food, or also called the specific dynamic action of food, which is a fancy way of saying when you eat food, your body has to break it down and assimilate it, absorb it, and use it. And to do that, energy is required. So calories are burned. So with carbohydrates and fats, you have about a 5% metabolic boosting effect. So it's a small amount. You burn some calories, but it's not very many. It's very easy to process carbs and fats. And that's why our body prefers those for fuel sources. And then protein has between a 25% and 30% calorie boosting effect. So it's much more complicated to break down and rebuild. And the reason for that is when you look in the mirror, and you probably all heard this, like you snap your fingers and billions of cells die, and you're made up of about 37 trillion cells. It really depends on how big you are or how small you are. You'll have more or less cells. But every cell, every second of the day is breaking down and rebuilding. And I'll give you some examples, like your taste buds. Those cells break down and replaced every 7 to 9 days. And then from your entire gastrointestinal tract, from your mouth all the way through your intestines, is replaced about every 18 to 21 days. And then some say, depending on who you ask, your entire skeleton is broken down, rebuilt between 3 and 7 years. And so what we need to take away from this is called cell turnover. Cells break down and they have to be rebuilt. So when you look in the mirror, what are cells mainly made out of? Well, we all know that you're mostly water. If you're hydrated, around 70% water overall. And then you're about 28% protein. So when you look in the mirror, your hair, your skin, your nails, your eyes, your muscles, your connective tissue, your organs, those are made of protein. So you need enough raw material so when cells break down, they're replaced. And so it's very, very, very important to get enough protein. And the studies show that if you want to build muscle or maintain muscle and lose body fat, then what will happen? How do we do that? Well, you got to do a couple things. One, you got to do resistance training. You got to do some sort of resistance training, whether it's bands or body weight, and it's got to be challenging. That creates the stimulus so that your muscles don't break down for fuel and then you burn fat. So when you just do cardio and eat less food, you will break down mostly muscle and some fat. And people are like, well, I don't care. I just want the number on the scale to go down. Well, the problem with that is muscle is what gives you energy. Muscle is a physical location where ATP, your energy source, is made and where stored body fat is burned. That's where fat oxidation takes place. That is your fat burning furnace. So if you lose muscle, you slow your metabolism. And so whatever weight you lose, is the research has shown you gain it back, but you don't gain the muscle back. You gain fat in its place. So you actually become fatter than you were before, even if you weighed the same. I hope that makes sense, because this isn't like my opinion. This has been done again and again and again, and I've seen it in real life with people so many times. It's like a fact to me, and it's physiology. That's all this is, but there's so much misinformation and marketing bullshit out there that people are confused, but this is it. So you got to look at your calories and you got to get enough protein. So what is the amount of protein that is best for body optimization, body composition? So like maintain your building muscle and losing body fat. Well, it's your body weight in pounds times 0.8, and then your body weight in pounds times 1. And that is the amount of grams that you would need in a day. And then you want to space that equally throughout the day. This is all in the nutrition video I sent you a while back. If you need it again, just let me know. I'll shoot it over your way again. But what you want to do is the research also shows that it's best to space it out evenly. So if you have, you're supposed to take in 120 grams of protein per day, and you're eating 3 meals a day, 120 divided by 3 is 40 grams of protein at each of your meals. So your body does better if you eat about the same amount of food at each meal. And why does it do better? Well, a couple reasons. One is you'll have more even energy. And one of the things that's been shown in research to really make people have more willpower, make better decisions, have better what's called executive function, to really feel your best and be in a peak state, be in that flow, is blood sugar levels. So if you have one meal where you just eat a little bit, like you have a little snack here, and then you have a meal that's really big, then you have another, then you skip a meal, that throws your blood sugar level all over the place. And it's harder to live in like what we would say is a peak state or a beautiful state of being, or your best self, like that lion or lioness. So there is the physiology and the psychology that goes hand in hand, because you don't need to do a million things. You need to do a few things millions of times. I know that doesn't sound inspiring, but that's really what mastery is. I've been doing martial arts my entire life. I still do it like about 2 hours every day because I love it. It's just a practice, and it makes sure I don't murder anybody. But it is not like I'll give you a simple one, like boxing. Like I learned that when I was really young and I was a boxer. And boxing is 4 strikes. That's it. There's only 4 punches. That's all boxing. Yet it takes years and years and years of practicing those 4 punches with different foot movement, with different head movement, with different timing and combinations to become proficient at it. And most people get injured when they first start doing it because they don't learn the basics. And so it's 4 things done millions of times. And that's what this physical mastery stuff is. It's about training and doing exercises every morning, doing resistance training, doing your cardiovascular conditioning, doing your mobility work before and at the end of each workout like we always do, and then getting enough water, and then making sure you get the right amount of foods and high quality foods, and then getting enough protein. Those are the things. So one of the things that the study showed that I think is pretty important is because everyone wants results so fast. Scientifically, what is the ideal amount of body fat to lose per week so that you don't relapse and gain it all back? And that number has been shown to be 1% of your body weight. So if someone weighed 200 pounds, that would be 2 pounds of fat per week. If they weighed more, it would be more than that. If they weighed less, it's less than that. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you take a pound of butter, which is pure fat, and look at that, that's a significant amount of fat to lose each week. It's like 4 sticks of butter, I think it is. But I don't want to get too crazy with this. But just remember, it is really important to track these things. And it's because people stink at awareness. We are not good at reporting the amount of foods we eat. And there's a number of studies on this, and this is called self-reporting if you want to look it up. But one study that was done in 1994, it was published in the journal Behavior, where they had 2 groups of people doing a 12-week exercise and nutrition program. They all did the same program. So it wasn't that one had a superior program and one didn't, but one group tracked their results. They wrote it down and they had to report it. They had to measure, write it down, and show it, like turn it in. And they didn't get feedback from it. They just had to turn it in, just knew that. The group, even though they were doing everything the same, the group that just tracked it, they had a higher level awareness, obviously, got 64% greater results than the group that didn't do it. And the reason probably for that is people are really bad at guessing. And it's I'm not saying a little bit bad, I mean really bad. So another study that was just published not long ago at the New England Journal of Medicine, they had people that believed they were weight loss resistant. So they actually labeled themselves, which psychologically is not a good thing because no one is weight loss resistant. People like to think they're broke because they haven't achieved it yet. But I haven't met the person that when you follow these principles that it didn't work. It works all the time. But those numbers aren't exact. We're approximating and you're following it. You got to track it though. But if your numbers are off, we don't know. They're like, eating 1,200 calories. So they had people live in this place. It's called a metabolic ward. So they live in the clinic, basically can't leave. And then all the food is provided and they pick their food out on their own. And they said, yep, we had 1,200 calories. But what they didn't realize was they were measuring all the food. The food was pre-measured. So after they picked their food, it weighed it. And they said, oh, we know you had 100 grams of this. You had this and that and that. But they swore, and they're not bad people, they just weren't aware, and they weren't really taking the time. They were eyeballing things and guesstimating it and having little snacks here and here and not counting them. And so what they found was they weren't having 1,200 calories, they were having almost 2,500 calories a day. And if you're exercising and stuff hard, that's not a lot, and if you have a lot of muscle, that's not a lot of calories either. But these people were not exercising on top of it, so 1,200 calories is pretty severe, is a low amount of food, so they would lose weight if they did that. Later on, these people actually did do that, and they all showed that they weren't weight loss resistant. They could lose it, but they just weren't eating the right amount of food because they had no clue. So I hope you got from this that you're not broken, and if you follow the laws of Mother Nature, you can optimize your health, you can have more energy, more vitality, you can have a body that serves you and that never lets you down, and that you're proud of. But if you have questions, let me know. And all the information you need, my friend, is in that nutrition video I made you. You know what? We'll throw it in here. Ask Andre to put it in here too, just in case you haven't done it. And if you got your DNA results back, I'll just show you how to tweak it slightly. But about this, the way I did it here is the way it works for everybody. It's just that we can make you have a little bit more energy, a little easier to stick to, a little less willpower if you just tweak it a little bit. If you don't do good with carbs, or if you don't do good with fats. But just let me know if that's the case, and I'll give you the 411. That means information, by the way. I think that's only in the United States. All right. All right, my friends. Have a great day. You got this. You tap into the real you, but you have to retrain yourself. The way you retrain yourself is you wake your ass up in the morning and you say, I am here for a reason and a purpose. And it's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than the difficulties of the day. I am here to live like a lion, not the fear of a lamb.